Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Gissinger-Lariva, and I'm the Scholarship Program Coordinator at the LANL Foundation. And today I'm going to walk you through how to apply for our 4-year undergraduate scholarships. So here we're going to start on our scholarships homepage, which is at lanlfoundation.org/scholarships. And so you can see some of our past recipients here up at the top. And we currently have 2 scholarship applications open, our Career Pathways Scholarship and 4-year undergraduate scholarships. We're going to focus on the 4-year scholarships today. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to a new page, and here you can see our application deadline listed, which is January 19th, 2021. And then if you scroll down, there's some information on eligibility and criteria and some other qualities we're looking for in our applicants. So definitely review that before starting your application. And then up here, there's also some good information. This first button will link you to a PDF of an informational packet, which includes our essay prompts and other important info. This Learn How to Apply shows a lot of that info, but on a web page. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the application today. So if you click on that third Apply Now button, it'll take you right to our application portal, and then you can click on the Apply button from there. If this is your first time accessing the scholarships portal, you definitely want to create a new account. So if you're a first-time user, that's where you'll go. And you'll just basically enter your email address, your name, and a password. But I have already registered, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And then the first thing you'll see when you start your application are these pre-qualification questions. So the first one is, do you live in one of these 7 counties in northern New Mexico? I live in Santa Fe, so I'll say yes. Have you been a New Mexico resident for at least the past 366 days? Yes. Will you be pursuing a bachelor's degree next year? Yes. And then this is our minimum GPA requirement in order to be eligible to apply. It's a 3.25 cumulative unweighted. So if you meet all of those eligibility criteria and press submit, then you'll be redirected to the application itself. So here, you'll see your application dashboard, and you can fill these different sections out basically in any order that you'd like. However, we would like you to start first with this personal and demographic information. So that's the exception. You're going to want to start here. And then you can see that at the bottom of each of these sections, there's a progress bar. So as you go through and fill out your information on each of these sections, that progress bar will populate. And then once you get to 100% on each section, you'll be ready to submit your application. So as I said, you want to start with this personal and demographic information. And the reason for that is our application is responsive. So depending on what your student status is, I'll fill this application out as if I'm a high school senior. Depending on how you answer this question, the rest of the application will change. So you, of course, also want to enter in your first name, last name, all of your contact information, and all of that info. And then scrolling down here, you'll see some eligibility questions for some of our scholarships. And this is by no means all of the scholarships that are included in our vast scholarship portfolio. These are just a few that we wanted to highlight and ask students specific questions about. However, even if you answer no to every single one of these questions, you will still be eligible for the majority of our scholarships. Most of our scholarships are renewable awards, so keep in mind that even if you answer no to all of these questions, you still are eligible for most of our scholarships. This is just checking to see if students are eligible for some of these additional ones. And then there's, of course, demographic information and things like that. And always when you finish working on one section, you always want to click Save and Return to Dashboard. So then we'll go back. And you'll see now that we've entered in that student status question, a new section pops up, and that's education information. So like I said, this section is going to look a little bit differently. Again, we are saying in this application, this version, that we're high school seniors. So it's going to ask you for your high school information, and this info will be asked of our college applicants as well. However, college applicants, of course, won't need to enter what high school courses they're enrolled in, and we only ask for a high school transcript to be uploaded by high school seniors and college freshmen. So if that applies to you, then what you'll do is obtain a copy of your official transcript from your counselor or your registrar and then upload it here. And that does need to be a PDF. So in the past, we have sometimes required that a counselor or registrar upload this, but we are this year asking for students to go ahead and do that themselves. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. But that, again, applies to high school seniors and college freshmen. Then it's gonna ask you if you're dual enrolled at a college or university. And if you click yes, then a couple of other questions open up and it'll ask you to enter more information about your dual enrollment and to upload a college transcript if those classes are not on your high school transcript. So then it'll just ask you about your intended college plans, college and universities you intend to apply to, your expected college graduation date, and your intended college major. So again, this will look a little differently if you are already currently enrolled as an undergraduate student. So just keep that in mind. And then the next section I want to highlight here is this request section. So this is really important that you do this section early on, because this is where you're going to ask 2 of your people in your network to serve as recommenders for you. So we're asking for 2 recommendation letters here. At least one of them needs to be academic. So that's a teacher, professor, counselor, someone who can speak to your academic abilities. And the second letter can either be the same from a teacher, professor, or counselor regarding your academics, or it can be an extracurricular letter that comes from a coach or a club advisor, an employer, or something like that. So again, you need 2 letters. At least one must be academic, and then the second one can be academic or extracurricular in focus. These are some instructions on how to request a letter, but we'll just go through it quickly here. So you're going to enter the name of the recommender, their email address, and then a short message to them. And again, you want to make sure that you are in touch with your recommenders early and often. Let them know that they'll receive an email from our online system that will give them instructions on how to upload their letter for you. And they might need to check their spam filter. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to our scholarship team and we will help you out. But this should all be pretty clear. And again, the recommenders will receive an email that has instructions for them. You want to give your recommenders at least 4 to 6 weeks to fill out that application for you. And that's part of why our deadline is not until January, is because we want to give you and your recommenders plenty of time. And also we want to make sure that you have your fall 2020 grades on that transcript. So going back to this education information section, you shouldn't upload your transcript until you have your fall 2020 grades on that transcript. And at that point, you'll be able to upload it. So then looking at these extracurricular activities sections, you can see there are some instructions up here, but we have 3 different sections in which you might enter in some of your activities. So this extracurricular activities section, that's the broadest section that we have. So this might include sports, any kind of art activities that you do outside of school, clubs that are not necessarily service or science related, but any sort of additional clubs. You would enter those here. And then community service, that is going to be, volunteer tutoring and volunteering at a food bank or any of that community service activity that you have. And then for STEM activities, that's going to be, your science fairs, if you participated in the Governor's STEM Challenge, things like that, that'll go in STEM activities. So do your best to not repeat yourself and only enter in an activity in one of those 3 sections, and to put it in a section where you think it best describes or best represents your involvement in that activity. And for each of these sections, as well as academic awards and employment, you'll have 5 spaces to enter in information. You don't have to use all 5, but you have up to 5 places to enter in different activities or awards or jobs. So then lastly, we're going to go ahead and look at the financial needs section. So on this section, it is optional. However, we do recommend that all applicants fill out this section, and you need to fill out this section in order to be considered for scholarships that have a financial need requirement. And if you opt to not fill out this section, it'll be assumed that you have no financial need and you will not be eligible for those scholarships that have a financial need requirement. So the first question here is just to estimate your household income that combines your parents and guardians. And then the second thing here, and this is really important, is a student aid report. And this is what is generated after you fill out your FAFSA. So it's really important that you get started on your FAFSA early and that you fill that out as soon as possible. Fill it out now if you can, because you're going to want to upload the student aid report here. That's how we verify financial need. And then you're going to enter a few different elements from that student aid report. And there are instructions listed here on what we would like to see entered and how to do that. And then finally, if you're unable to provide a student aid report, if you were not able to submit a FAFSA for any reason, please go ahead and explain that here. And we'll be looking at that on a case-by-case basis. So, for example, if you're undocumented and that presents a barrier, or if there are other situations in which you are not able to fill out a FAFSA and get a student aid report to upload, go ahead and tell us about why here in this box. And then there's just some additional demographic information to round out that section. And then going back to our dashboard here, there's a couple of remaining sections that are pretty self-explanatory. Your essays, of course, there's 3 essays that are required and 1 optional essay that is about special circumstances. Each of those essays is 250 words maximum. And then the last component is just your signature, which just requires you to validate that your information that you've entered is correct. So that's about all. Again, the deadline to submit your scholarship application is January 19th, 2021. If you have any questions at all, reach out to our scholarship team and email scholarships@lanlfoundation.org, and we'd be more than happy to help. And best of luck with your scholarship applications.